So the Apex Prime is an all-metal blaster. It is a pump-action, mag-fed Springer, takes Talon magazines. It is also a bolt-action with a handle that can be placed on either side. Overall, you can see it comes with a really long barrel here because it is designed for that higher FPS mark. Out of the box, with the 14 kg spring, the 580 millimeter barrel, it shoots about 270 feet per second, but it can easily be modified to shoot over 300 FPS with a different spring or barrel combo. The backstory is that it is designed for use in Asia where conditions are hot and humid, and they prefer not to use 3D printed blasters, and so the all-metal construction is designed to outlive you. They wanted a blaster that could be used for years on end and handed down and not have any problems, and so they designed it entirely of metal parts. What's nice about the Apex though is it is a lower price point at about 400 US. It makes it so it's cheaper than a lot of full metal blasters, like this one here, which is like 500, and this one here, which is also really expensive, 600 or whatever it is. But the Apex Prime comes disassembled as a kit, so you can get it through customs and lower the price point as well. The two side panels on either side are rolled metal or bended sheets of metal, making it cheaper than a lot of machined blasters that have a lot of work and machining that goes into them to make the price higher. But the Apex does have a lot of machined parts on the inside, so solid blocks that are in the middle for the internals. It has linear rails, two sets of linear rails on the bottom and on the top to make the Prime very smooth. So you can use a heavy spring load without it feeling like a heavy spring load. So that's a really nice feature, that you can get the higher FPS without that friction that makes it a harder feel on the Prime. It has a quick swap spring, so you just unscrew the stock and the swing can be dropped in and out, as well as the barrel has a quick swap feature where you can just unscrew and screw in the barrel based on this barrel nut that's included, so you can have kind of a modular barrel system. Straight out of the box, when I built it, it was very consistent, hitting very accurately for a build just straight out of the box, which you don't usually get. A lot of builds that have a perfect air seal out of the box. I know the Harrier and the Seagull, after a while, they even lose their air seal. But the Apex Prime has been going strong for me still, so that is nice. It can take different foregrips here. Foregrips are not included, but I have here just my little angled 3D printed foregrip, but it can also take a variety of Picatinny style foregrips as well. They also have an easy swap to bolt action on either side, which is nice as well. So you have a few customizability options out of the box, which is nice. You also have plenty of slots for rails or M-lock or slings attachments, plenty of rail on top as well. Also found that the construction was actually pretty intuitive, and if you need to service it, it's actually pretty easy just to unscrew the rear block here, and then you can get to the plunger, you can get to the bolt and all of that, do your maintenance, which is really nice. It also comes with this full metal scar, a strung scar here. Very thick wire, so you may want to use your own, but it's nice. It comes with a metal scar with a metal shroud as included in the price, which is nice. It does not come with a grip. However, what it does come with is some brackets. So you can use an AR or mil-spec style grip, or you can install the brackets that make the mounting point wider that you can then fit an AEG or an AEB style grip. So it's basically compatible with any grip you could find anywhere, airsoft store or real steel store, which is nice. But the grips themselves are not included. Like the foregrip, the main grip is not included, but it does have a bracket that can use any grip. Oh, that was almost a pouch hit. Ooh, I got Heath from here. Let's go. Overall, it's built very similar with the Caliburn, where you have the trigger, which pushes up on the sear, which then releases the plunger. Very similar system to a Caliburn. So the closest thing I can compare this to is a Caliburn. It reminds me of the assembly process and how it's laid out. It's very similar to a machined Caliburn, where you have multiple internal blocks or spacers with an outer shell that then holds them together. exact same as the machine caliber back in the day. The included 580 millimeter barrel, I measured it to be 507 inches, so it is a tight barrel, meaning your bamboo darts are gonna perform a lot better, and it is a little bit pickier on wider darts. But again, this is kind of a top tier blaster, so it's designed to use bamboo darts, so that's fine. But the 507 580 millimeter barrel, this collet can actually be installed on any barrel for a quick swap system. So you can have multiple barrels with the collet attached, so then you can install that into your blaster. Now, I think that's kind of a bad feature. I don't really like that. That means you have to buy a whole screw-on adapter for every barrel, which you could have just done in the regular collet system and would have been just fine. The rail has a gap in it, not sure, they don't quite line up all the way. There were a couple of burrs on it. I had a deburr as I assembled it. Due to the nature of the sheet metal shell, it can be difficult to get things to line up as you're building it. You kind of have to loosely assemble everything and then tighten it down later to get things to line up. But once you know what you're doing, not too bad. The mag well is loose. So it's kind of a weird mag well, you know, it'll jiggle on you. It is gravity drop, of course, and it's not flared, so a couple of features are left to be desired. And because of the nature of all of these solid aluminum blocks that are used as the spacers, the gold ones there, it's really heavy. It weighs more than a Sweetheart Storm, and so because it is also so front heavy, you can see most of the blasters in the front, it can be really tiring to hold it up all day, and definitely not a best setup for maybe a fast-paced game, or if you are shooting a lot of shots. It's definitely made for, I'm gonna sit there and wait, line up my shot, and then fire. So resting the barrel or resting the blaster on cover as you wait for your shot, I think is the intended play style there. I'm sure it would be a lot better if you had a full-size stock or something more substantial on the back to balance the weight. The Sweetheart Storm is heavy, but it's balanced pretty perfectly. This one is balanced pretty much all the way to the mag well, I think. The stock is kind of pretty much proprietary. It does use a real like AR buffer style stock where you can screw in a buffer tube, like the BK1 or some other 3D printed blasters, but this adapter in the actual stock itself is not. So unless you want to switch out, because this metal piece has a spring guide and spring post on it, so you can't easily swap this out for one that does exist. It's not universal, and this piece in the back where the stock actually mounts to that screws in is definitely not universal. And you can see it's designed to take other tubes as well. It's got threading for additional tubes to make it longer. However, that's kind of inconvenient because it's not super universal, like the threading and those tubes that we're referring to. Maybe they are in the Asia market or in certain fields, as far as like airsoft maybe. I haven't really seen any blaster have those other than one. It has them in the back, but again, it's not very universal. The front bracket, you can come loose. It's designed to be assembled with thread lock, meaning if you don't use thread lock, it's gonna loosen up. All the metal connections, you don't have any lock nuts and you don't have any screws with thread lock factory installed, and so the whole thing can come loose over time because it is an all metal construction, which is kind of unfortunate the way it's designed, where you don't have lock nuts. All the things that may not have been fully taken advantage of with, like, they could have done a flared mag well really easy and they could have lightened the weight, all those stuff are kind of smaller things that they weren't really as concerned about after they had met the #1 goal of, you know, all metal, cheaper blaster that is high performance. It does have quite a bit of air volume as well. The prime you can see is fairly long, and so you can have good performance. Again, this is after 3 or 4 events, I think. Still holds an air seal pretty much just fine. Without the scar, we'll weigh it real quick. With the included barrel and the included stock and the standard, this is a Magpul grip. I'm gonna weigh this sucker. 6 pounds and 3 ounces. So yeah, a little more than the Storm, I think. I think the Storm is closer to 5. It's probably gonna be my go-to high-powered blaster. I'm not gonna tune this down because it weighs so much, it's not worth it unless you were to replace half of the metal with plastic. Because of the weight and the size, it's not really practical for even low or mid FPS play. So I'm gonna probably tune this up, get it dialed in, and have it be a go-to high FPS Springer. but I still have the Sweetheart Storm for my go-to overall high FPS, jack of all trades rifle. Where I'm gonna see if I can get this tuned with those bearings. I'm gonna see if I can get this hitting very high and very accurately, and then I'm basically not gonna use it for anything other than that. So if you're looking for a high FPS, super durable, outlive you and your grandchildren blaster, I think the Apex is definitely the way to go. We are gonna offer these on the shop because we met them in person and we're able to hash out some details with them, because Frontline Foam, we do go to high-powered events. We go to basically all the high-powered events, and we've been to many high-powered events. And so instead of just selling the blaster, we're actually gonna modify it. We're gonna put it through its paces. We're gonna be at events and let you guys try it and stuff like that. There you go, the Apex by Sabre.